Hey, let's chat about some updates. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of The Roasted Mind. I'm glad you're back again for part 2. I believe this is episode 7 now, and I know I took a bit of a hiatus there for a couple months, but I mean, remember, we're doing this on my own time. I'm kind of taking care of myself and doing a lot of things that I find valuable and really spreading out my time as much as I can to increase my satisfaction, just overall just being happy, right? And so I guess jumping right into it, one of the big things that I've been doing to increase that, right, and take care of myself and try something that I've never really done before is reading. And funny enough, one of my favorite drinks to drink while I'm reading books is a pour over, just hot, black, how I like it. And I haven't really had these since I've come back from Korea, which was like the height of my pour over drinking, tenure as a coffee guy. Even when I first started this show, I was talking about how much I like pour overs and just, eventually you drink it so many times, you want to get into something else like milk drinks or something. But this is definitely one of the best, if not the best drink that I like to drink while I'm reading books. I haven't particularly read a lot of books growing up. I really only started reading very, very recently, like in the last, 3 years. And in that time, I progressively grown up my skills as a reader, as well as a writer, which we'll touch on. But I mean, I feel like October alone was such a big month for me when it comes to reading and self-reflection and finding myself through these kind of stories and novels and epics that I've been listening to. A couple ones to note, I know I've already spoken about Brothers Karamazov by Dostoevsky, so I won't really touch on that too much, but I also read The Blood Meridian, as well as the Trojan War trilogy, right? So the Iliad, the Odyssey, the Aeneid. And those 4 books, right, those 4 stories, those really set the foundation for how I really should be writing my book, right? How I should be writing my novel. And it really made me stop and think, well, maybe I need to stop writing and start reading a little more to get that inspiration. And so I've been using a lot of that to kind of further build some inspiration. And, funny enough, now that I'm reading another book, which has caught my attention, it is Haldor Laxness's Independent People, which by the name alone is already kind of caught my eye. But the story, and I'm only about, I think, 60 pages in, is about this very independent shepherd who kind of got out of slavery. This is set in like early 1900s Iceland, and he's very stubborn because his belief of independent is that where he has to rely on nobody and how he's the man and that's it, right? And so how can you be independent if you ask for favors, if you rely on others, if you show these emotions, if you kind of even pray to a god? That's kind of his character flaw. But as I'm reading through this, I also read Frankenstein, which was a really phenomenal book that I had no idea I was going to like that much, right? You hear Frankenstein, you think maybe that's even a children's book, but no, it is a bit of an easier read, but it is one that is enlightening when you don't know the whole story of it, the whole context and how much it inspired the movie and everything else, really. And so a lot of these pieces that I've been reading have really kind of sparked my interest as a writer and how I can write and what story I can tell. And it's funny enough because I don't even feel like I want to continue on with that memoir that I was writing just yet. I kind of want to put it on the back burner because I have this idea for another novel. And Independent People is actually an epic novel. And so I kind of want to write one myself. And I have this really cool idea that's really set in like modern times, which I don't really think there is one specific epic that we can call like a modern epic, that at least not that I know of, or that's been kind of quote unquote like hype or talked about, right? Maybe A Little Life, but I mean that book is also controversial in itself. But I've definitely been using a lot of this free time to really take care of myself and to really understand what it is that I want to portray and how I can portray these things and how I can mesh my 2 very different personalities that I've complained about before in the past into something perfect, right? Or as perfect as it can be. And a lot of that comes from just kind of the nuance of being alone for a little bit and taking really good care of myself and my emotions and my feelings and my interests and all these topics that I always say every episode. But I definitely feel like this alone time that I've had, this distance, is been particularly very helpful for me. And I even saw that when I came back home for a little bit and I saw my friends and I realized, well, how much I'd grown, but not only that, but how much they'd grown. And because I was able to see how much they grew, it kind of made me feel satisfied in that I am taking care of myself for a bit. And because of that, I've seen these differences, and I'm not really so much blindsided or blinded by what exactly they're going through and what they've risen up for and grown to and all this and that. And the alone time has made me appreciate everyone else as well as myself. It's helped me understand what it really means to be an independent person, as well as understanding how other people can be independent in themselves, right? I have this group of people that I really love, but if we stay confined to that group, we'll never grow. And becoming that independent person, and I know I'm kind of getting redundant saying that, right, because of the book, but becoming that independent person has made me hold my values even stronger and made me work even harder towards the goals that I want to achieve. I mean, I even bought a new guitar. I even bought a new guitar here. It's just really made me just want to play, just grab it and go. And I never had that feeling before because I was always worried about other people and what I should write and what I should play and what I, want to present myself as for other people. But I'm going to play things that I really like to play. I'm going to sing songs that I love to sing and write in my book how I want to write and make the coffee that I want to drink and live the life that I want to live. Particularly, I've been thinking about a lot of my cousin's suicide, which we've already talked about before, and so I won't really touch up too much on. But what I really wanted to discuss was that discussion of this kind of two separate personalities that I'd grown from, that I, was a result of that suicide that I'd spoken about, and how it really kind of formed me and sometimes even made me regret that I'd become this way because of it. And a lot of times I thought, well, maybe it was because of this event that I lost myself and I turned into someone entirely different than I really wanted to be. But as I'm going through this kind of independent path and this distance from other people, I'm really starting to realize that that's not necessarily the case. And I used to think that maybe I was getting all of these, these privileges from my external personality and presenting myself and speaking in a way that I don't want to speak. And if you go back to older videos and my older shorts, you'll definitely see where I mentioned that. And I thought that maybe that was tied into just that external, and while the internal was alone, and I had to come home and face all of it, face the aftermath, face what it really meant to want to present as this way and not ever being able to do that, right? Having this kind of shell that everyone loves to recognize, but the inside is just not who people know. Lately, since reading a lot and having a lot of this reflection and writing and playing and really just focusing on me, I've realized that that's not necessarily the case. And I've come to grown to be appreciative of this inner personality of mine, the over analytical kind of thinking body who always has something to say about one thing or another and, would love a discussion here and there, versus the external. I always have something to say in a quick whip kind of funny kind of way and very extroverted and interpersonal and really kind of outgoing. And my successes in academia, in friendship, in knowledge, in music, all of this is all because of my ability to merge those two individual personalities together and form the greater whole that is me, right? And isn't that kind of cool that I can recognize that? Isn't that kind of cool that I can understand that I am the whole of my parts, right? I'm the sum of my parts. And that's incredible. And I never recognized that until I was actually kind of thinking about what I can say for this episode. I didn't think this was going to be a thing until I was literally just looking in the mirror yesterday. And I'm like, well, yeah, I have grown. I do understand where all this success comes from. And I do appreciate it. I appreciate myself. And it's such a freeing thing to say, that I'm learning so much about myself, and it's helping me become such a great man in my eyes. The one who recognizes self-worth, the one who understands their value, the one who has no qualms on being them, on being independent. And I drink my coffee today, made it a little late because I wanted to have it with you, because I wanted to share with you this feeling that I have when you really understand what it means to be accepting of yourself. Does it make a little sense when you put it that way? I guess you just kind of have to go through it to know. I recognize that there are flaws in both my ways of thinking, in that if I get too stuck up on the introvert, on the analytical, on the overthinker, the arguer, people aren't going to like me. Nobody likes that kind of guy. Hell, I might not even like myself. I might think that I'm just a loser, right? Or I might even think that I'm just too introverted and too, analytical, and I'm thinking too much over things, and I'm losing sight of what really life is. Because a lot of life is on that outside. A lot of life is on that external surface. And that's where I hold a lot of my strengths as well. But I know that there's flaws to sticking to that. It's like a bland piece of bread, right? You might butter it up, and that's the best you can do. Maybe some jam here and there. But on the inside, it's just bread. You have to combine the two. I've combined the two, and I've recognized the two. And you know what? I've always actually combined the two, but I never really fully accepted that until now. I never really fully accepted my skills as a writer, as a musician, as a people person, as just me, until I looked in the mirror and told myself, you are okay. And sometimes that's all you'll ever feel. Other times you're going to feel great. And hell, other times I'm going to feel shitty. But at least I'm okay. And I really like this coffee. This coffee's from Sauvie Island, actually. I went to the pumpkin patch, the week before Halloween? I want to say 2 weeks before Halloween. Pretty good coffee. I really want Magic Goat, I think it was called. It's based down in Eugene. Phenomenal. I really want to go back there, but I've only found it at Whole Foods. Yeah, I appreciate you discussing this with me and listening to my ramblings again. Episode 7 of part 2. Wow. Let me know what you guys have been reading as well. Of course, these are on YouTube, so you can put it down in the comments. You can send me an IG DM. I'll try to post more shorts of all my episodes coming up. And I really just want you all to realize that I'm not going anywhere. I'm just taking care of myself for a bit. And I hope you are too. I hope you see the value in yourself and your hobbies and your crafts, which, could be a little deterred from other life events like school and work and just general life, But that doesn't mean you lose it forever. And if you ever get back into it, and if you ever start realizing that this really is you, I really hope you find that. And I really hope you jump right back into it, because you deserve the best. Because I am okay, and you are okay too. And hell, what's the harm in having one positive episode, versus all the negative? So I appreciate you guys coming back again for episode 7. I'm always here to chat if you need. And you guys take care, okay? Bye.